Hi, this is Bryan, and I'm here with my good friend Rob, who I've known just about a year. Now, this dude's incredible. He's actually personally coached Eben Pagan and some other top-notch people, which he can't mention, but like he's been an incredible coach in the internet marketing space. He's actually in our program right now, in our year-long Mind, Money, and Meaning program, and he's been a complete rock star in the program. Like every time that Jennifer and I are on the phone with someone, and they're really talking about what's happening in their marketing, and then we get to the subject of list building, they often say, yeah, but you know what? I just had this awesome call with Rob, and he really helped me out, and so I'm actually all sorted there, so we can talk about something else. So he's been a huge asset to us as a participant in the program. You've been crazy in list building. You've sold to lists of 100,000 plus people lists, so you've done some pretty big list stuff. Every once in a while you'll meet somebody who you just want on your team. And Rob, for us, is one of those people. We just can't wait for opportunities to do stuff together because we love you and think you're awesome.
Thank you very much.
I'm so glad you could be here.
Thank you, yeah.
Recently you were at a conference and you kicked some ass at the conference.
I did. I basically was able to go and, using a lot of what I've learned from you guys about selling, make some really authentic connections and drive a whole lot of business to myself very, very quickly. And I recently just did a video about it, sort of explaining what happened. But it was an amazing experience, and I really owe you guys a lot of thanks.
You didn't even have a website up or any technology at all except for like a phone. So you went to this conference, you met some people, and ended up closing over $100,000 in business in a couple of days.
I call it like 2 days I spent meeting people, and within a couple of weeks I'd grown well more than 6 figures of business, and it's gone up since then. So it's nice, and it's going to continue to go up.
What's the secret technique that makes that work?
How do you do that? Fine. I mean, I did another video on this, and I hope everybody gets a chance to check that out. I used a lot of what I learned with you in sort of like having really authentic relationships, serving, helping, and then walking people into proving value first, going first, helping as hard as I could, and then knowing exactly when to be like, here's the time to make an offer, which is, when we're list building, exactly what you're trying to do with a free report or with something on your website, to begin talking to strangers. So it's like the art of talking to strangers and building relationships.
I like that. I hadn't heard that before. Helping as hard as you can.
Yeah.
And somehow when we go to put a report together or some kind of free offer, the part of our brains that's trying to help kind of gets turned off, and then we start thinking what's going to work and what will catch the most people. But really, you're saying just get back to helping people. Get back
to helping people because they need it, and they need a lot more than whatever you can do in a couple of minutes or even with a report. Like, the reality is that people need a lot of help, and if you have something that you can do that's going to be of benefit to them over time, go first, build the relationship. I mean, it's what makes society work. It's like one of us has to go first. And so be the authentic person who's going to like really provide a ton of value and go first. The one thing I want to clarify, though, is a lot of people, talk about things like moving the free line and all that, and that's really important. Huge misunderstanding about moving the free line is trying to give too much or continuing to give and not knowing when it's time to actually sort of make the offer. So it's giving a lot of value, but you don't want to give things that take a lot of time. There's a time cost. If I'm going to give 6 months of my coaching away for free, people like, a stranger is going to look at that and go, I don't have 6 months to give this guy I don't even know yet, or whatever. So we want to make...
And plus, how much could it be worth anyway?
Right, exactly, right. So I'm killing the value of it in that way, all that. But you want to make, any kind of opt-in or whether you're meeting people, that first thing that you're doing really, really valuable, which is always much more close to instant and sort of magical than it is, work and long and we're gonna spend all this time together, whatever. I don't think people realize the cost of time. People need help now, instantly.
And I also have it right. I mean, you've had a lot of experience building some huge lists.
Yeah.
In partnerships with other people. You've built your own list. You've done some awesome stuff around list building. Like you said, I mean, I don't think I knew what a list was when you were already cranking it.
Yeah.
And now you're in the business of helping people build their lists. Is that right?
Yeah. I'm doing internet marketing, and I'm really fired up about this kind of like switching it over into relationships and creating what I call fans. And I don't mean fans like they cheer when you're in another room, but fans are people that want to buy anything you put out. Like, a fan of someone's music doesn't want the free version. They're like, I'm a fan. I want to buy it. I want to support this artist. I want to do whatever. And so, how do you create that one-on-one relationship, right, and learn how to do that really well? And then how would you step into amplifying that and doing list building in a way that, again, feels really authentic, is really great?
Well, I know a lot of my friends who are watching are in some form of the kind of early-ish stages of building their lists.
Sure.
And you know, how can we use this time to give them something really special? Like what's some specific tip or tool?
Yeah, the thing,
once they have the right mindset, like you were saying.
Sure. When you're in business, there's sort of two sides of list building, if you want to think about it that way. You have to have like something really delicious or attractive. Like you have to have the honey to attract the strangers, right? Like we're inundated with tons of messages. Everybody hears that. We all know that's true in our own lives. So how do you like stand out? Well, if we think about online, that's usually some type of free gift or something like that to get people to opt in to a list where you can build a relationship with them. What most people aren't thinking about is that needs to be really juicy and more instant than big or a lot of time or a lot of whatever. It needs to be really
so instant.
Yeah. So it's like, there's reality and there's magic. And as a coach, I know that if somebody wants to lose weight, there's the reality of that is that they're going to have to mess with their diet probably for a long time. They're going to have to work out a lot. Like reality isn't always attractive. It's what I know they have to do, but there's probably something a little bit closer toward magic that my marketing could talk about that I don't feel unethical or lying about, but there's probably a mindset or something that they could know right now that might help them beat cravings tonight, right? So when we think about like an opt-in gift, we want to think not like big, long, hard. We want to think instant, fast, like I'm going to be better before dinner tonight. Like when I download this thing, I'm done. And newsletters are becoming less and less interesting. I mean, most of us are trying to get off newsletters.
Right.
So just the promise of like, hey, join my newsletter is not compelling. It's something that most of us are going to bounce off of because we're trying to protect our time at this point. And so when we can think that they're going to be interested, as humans, we're just compelled toward magical and fast and instant, a pill that's going to help me lose weight overnight or a mindset that's going to change everything. Right. That's the kind of stuff where we can just begin. And it's always so much smaller than we as the expert know they need. Right. It's much more like what they're going to be interested in. So we want to start there. And then what people don't often think about is how strangers meet you. How can you automate or think about the exact sequence of steps that are going to walk them into your first offer? Right. And so what does that look like? So it's not just list building and then what do I do? Maybe I'll launch later. But what are the first steps of actually getting to know you? So for me, going to that conference, it was meeting somebody, saying, how's your business? What's going on in your business? And then helping them immediately. Okay. And then saying, there's probably more that we could go over later. Right. If you'd like, would you like to have a 20-minute conversation with me once the conference is over? Get their information, which would be like getting them on my list, right? I just got a prospect. And then actually delivering that conversation with them, delivering more and more and more value, and then making an offer. And so that's a teeny little sequence that's repeatable as I meet strangers.
And you didn't just go there and meet them and try and help them instantly and help a bunch of people and then try and figure out what you were going to do. Okay, now that I've helped them, what should I do? Right. You had the whole sequence kind of in mind when you started.
Yeah. And that's a sequence that I can do over and over and over again. Right. Anytime I meet people, and it happens to me at hot dog stands. I mean, I do it all the time.
I want to point out a mindset that I'm hearing or a set of assumptions that I'm getting from you. When you were talking earlier about like the free line and people not knowing when to make the offer, right? Yeah. I sometimes have this feeling about the iceberg. So there's the tip of the iceberg and the rest of the iceberg. And sometimes I feel like the free stuff is the rest of the iceberg, and then they'll want to charge you for the tip. Right. And I'm like, well, look, based on volume, I'm good, thanks. Yeah, right? And the offers that I'm really excited about, and the people I want to be their customers, are where they give me the tip of the iceberg free, and it totally solves my immediate whatever. It's not that it's small. It's that it's like, I know exactly where the iceberg is. You got the information. Thank you. And then, by the way, there's this endless mass of volume under the surface if you want to dive into it. But for you to do that as a business, for you to offer that, you've got to believe that you've got it in you to deliver the goods under the surface, right? Not just the tip. Yeah. If you've identified who you're helping and you're really motivated just by helping them, and if you can imagine, picking that person, one of these people at the conferences, and you're never going to run out of ways to help that person if you're clear about the situation in there and you have the goods to be able to help, right? Yeah. It's not like, oh, I've got one trick, and once you use that trick, I'm out of ideas. Sorry. Right? As long as they're alive. Yeah, exactly.
You're not in business yet if that's where you're at. Yeah.
So as long as you are in relationship to human beings and they need something and you can help, then you're going to have an endless sea of content, and that's where that iceberg can come from. So you can give a ton away for free and still have a much, much, much greater percentage.
Absolutely.
To
Yeah,
charge
not only
for.
that, you're talking about a really deep concept that I think we're both friends with Stacey Morgenstern.
Yeah,
She's one of the first places that I heard this idea, but it's just really true. Any problem that we have, once we have a solution, some new problem kind of presents itself. And then when you solve that problem, you're at a new level, and it's problem, solution, problem, solution, problem, solution as we go through life.
Right.
And as helpers or people in business that are creating solutions for people, there's usually a quick solution that points out or highlights the next problem, right? And so a really good way to authentically market is to give what the person thinks they need. As the expert, I know it's usually not that. Like what they really want and what they think they need is something instant, something fast, and what they really need is closer to reality. So in that beginning, we help them with what they think they need.
Yeah.
I need my niche figured out. Okay, well, let's talk about that, and we give that.
Here's the niche figure out tool.
Right,
Yeah.
and then as soon as you figure that out, there's another higher need there, and that's what gets sold. That's what we're gonna sort of walk you into. And so anywhere, like when I work with people on this, anywhere, there's something that we can do where it's like, what's the instant, immediate thing that they're going to be really compelled by, that they think they need? You serve that, and then your whole point of your next communications or your sequence is highlighting all the other things that now that you have that figured out, is sort of available to you to now, the new problem that you have. And you sell the solution to that new problem. And then once you have that, how do you use technology to automate the delivery of solving that problem, growing your list really big? So I can do it one-on-one a lot, right? But can I use technology to do that, 100 times or 1,000 times or 10,000 times, and how can I grow solving that and building member sites or building products online that can do some of that stuff and really expand my business out?
So someone ends up working with you, they're gonna figure out who is that person that they're trying to help, how they can help them. They're going to identify that they've got a real business that they can multiply.
Probably in many ways. So it could be like product after product after product, but start with one, nail one first, but yeah.
And then you'll send them in the direction of being able to create a sequence and marketing and a free offer and the email, the language and the tone, which when they step back, they can feel good about and go like, yeah, that's a representation of me.
Yeah.
Like, now my marketing is an effective way of putting on the internet a way of getting to know me.
Exactly.
And so when you meet me, you're like, oh, I feel like I know you because I've read your email.
With appropriate boundaries too, like with they know the business that you're in, or more of you if you want to. But yeah, with
I'm laughing because I'm always a fan of not having those. I forget that other people want them.
It's important to have them sometimes. Bryan, it's a new learning of mine too, and maybe why we dig each other so much is that that's new for me as well.
Exactly.
But yeah, so and then sort of having what I call a marketing habit, like growing this up into a marketing habit that's not like work or anything that you're sad to have, but like when you're emailing your list, you're like emailing your best friend. You're like in love, like, hey, this is what's going on with me. And it's this sort of outpouring of purpose and meaning for you that's fun and connected and expands you and gets you into like your comfort zone instead of like I have to do another newsletter or I have to do another thing and nobody buys anyway and but instead people are like engaged, they're talking back, they're buying your stuff, they're taking your surveys. Yeah, that.
So some things you could do right away. You can put out like on a desk some of the put out your sequence. Like, what do people see? What's the offer? Then if they get a report, put that there.
Yeah, start with that. What is your offer?
Yeah, you put that out and then see if if you put yourself into the mind of the customer, do you feel like you're getting helped until it hurts?
Yeah.
And can I consume this stuff with a really small amount of time commitment on my end, feel like I'm getting immediate help, and also do I feel like I'm getting to know you as a person?
Yeah.
Right. So you could start by doing that, and then if they want more, if they are ready to jump in and really get this problem solved, what do they do?
Well, I want to have along with this a download to help people sort of come up. So like a tip sheet, basically like a pH test. And I want them to actually know exactly what their sequence for strangers should be. That's what I call it. So exactly how to sequence when somebody comes to your site and they don't know you at all. How do you actually get them to like you, know you, trust you, and what does that look like in the sequence of autoresponders and things like that you deal with them? I also want them to nail their opt-in gift. I want it to be super juicy, really attractive. They're proud of it. So basically, nail the sequence for strangers, and that begins with the opt-in gift that has to be amazingly attractive and juicy, and I'm going to share that
All that's in the tip sheet.
All that's in the tip sheet.
So
Yep.
if you put in your email address below and download the tip sheet, or it'll come to you in the email?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you'll get it in the email, you'll get the tip sheet, and that will allow you to nail your offer and begin to understand, like, you know, sort of
how do you sequence
how do you do
yeah.
that sequence. I like that sequence for strangers, so that at the end of the sequence, they're not strangers anymore.
Yeah,
right?
and later there's also like a sequence for selling. So like how do you eventually sort of close and do that? But how do you begin that introduction with people? And that's my sequence for strangers. The other thing they're also going to get is they will know exactly when the next video comes out, where I talk a lot more about automating this list building and creating a lot more raving fans in that way. Yeah.
Well, I know I'm actually excited to get the tip sheet,
Yeah.
because I know that we can make an improvement here. I can't think of anyone that I know that can't make an improvement. So enter your email in there, get that tip sheet, and then the next email you'll get after that will be more information about more videos like this, where Rob's going to be sharing some great stuff about.
Yeah, a lot more down and dirty. So not another interview, but just sort of like exactly how to do some of this stuff. So,
Awesome.
Yeah.
So there's a whole series of videos that you get to be a part of and watch Rob strut his stuff.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So put your email in there.
Cool. Thanks.
Right on.
All right, man.